So, you're traveling to a backward country that uses Celsius and you want to make sense of it without a calculator or an app. Well, some context is needed. One day in Germany, Mr. Fahrenheit decided it's high time to describe the temperature using numbers instead of phrases such as freaking hot, it's okay, or but numbing cold. So in his infinite wisdom, he decided 0 degrees Fahrenheit should represent the temperature of a solution that consists of equal parts water, ice, and salt, for some reason. And that 100 degrees Fahrenheit should be the average human body temperature, which is actually more like 98 degrees. Way to be accurate, Mr. Fahrenheit. Then came Mr. Celsius, who proposed that 0 degrees should represent the temperature that water freezes, and that 100 degrees should be when water boils, which is much easier to remember compared to the Fahrenheit system, where it turns out water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit and boils at 212. 100 minus 0 is 100, and 212 minus 32 is 180. A bit out of the blue, but a very useful set of numbers because it's the basis for the relationship between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Specifically, the relationship that for every 100 degrees gain in Celsius, the temperature rises 180 degrees in Fahrenheit, which is the same as saying every 5 degrees change in Celsius is equal to 9 degrees change in Fahrenheit. So if someone said it's gonna drop 10 degrees Celsius tomorrow, you know that it'll drop 18 degrees in Fahrenheit. But that doesn't mean 10 degrees Celsius is equal to 18 degrees in Fahrenheit. This is because the two systems are on different starting points, meaning water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius but at 32 degrees in Fahrenheit. We need to take this into account before we can start any conversions. Let's say it's 10 degrees Celsius outside. Another way of saying the same thing would be it's 10 degrees Celsius higher than the freezing temperature of water. We know the freezing temperature of water in Fahrenheit is 32. So we can say it's 10 degrees Celsius higher than 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll still mean the same thing. Now we also know that for every 5 degrees increase in Celsius, the temperature rises 9 degrees in Fahrenheit. Since in our example, the temperature rose 10 degrees, we know that it will have risen 18 degrees in Fahrenheit. So we can now say it's 18 degrees Fahrenheit higher than 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Or simply put, it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit outside. To put it in an equation, the temperature in Fahrenheit is equal to the temperature in Celsius multiplied by 9 over 5 plus 32. But unless you're a savant, this equation won't help you convert 23 degrees Celsius into Fahrenheits inside your head. So we need an approximation to make things easier. If you'll notice, 5 degrees Celsius for every 9 in Fahrenheit is awfully close to 10. And if you don't think so, you can go ahead and leave a message about what a douche you are in the comment section below. But I digress. Since 9 is really close to 10, you can just multiply 23 degrees with 10 over 5, which is 2, instead of 9 over 5. Also, if you'll notice, 32 is really close to 30. And because we increased the value of our calculation by rounding up to 10 over 5, rounding down to 30 actually helps. Unless it's below freezing, in which case it won't. But that's what you get for approximating. So if you go to Germany and can't decide if 23 degrees Celsius is too hot for a sweater, just remember, multiply by 2 and add 30. That'll give you 76 degrees Fahrenheit. The actual number is 73.4. But if all you're trying to do is decide what to wear, I'm sure the margin of error is more than acceptable. And that's how you convert Celsius to Fahrenheit without a calculator. As for going from Fahrenheit to Celsius, take a wild guess, you lazy bums. Stick science.